So, good afternoon, everyone, and a very warm welcome to all of you. An early Happy Women's Day, if I can say so. Always a pleasure to moderate an important discussion like this, hosted by CI India at 800 Foundation on the theme Powered by Her. Um, we all know that India has a long history of women power. I mean, we worship goddesses and we have extraordinary women leaders, right from freedom fighters like Rani Lakshmi Bai to Sarojini Naidu, political leaders like Indira Gandhi. We have never been short of inspirational role models. And since independence over the last few decades, we have seen women step into areas that were once considered inaccessible for women. You know, leading corporations, building startups, driving scientific, technological innovation, shaping public policy, transforming communities in a sense. Yet we know that the opportunity ahead is far bigger. How do we really bring these few success stories that we have and make it more mainstream and make it more widespread? So, because I believe that if India has to realize its ambitions for India at 100, the country will need and must tap into the full potential of its women, not just for participating, but as leaders, as creators, innovators, decision makers, and economic drivers. And because studies have constantly shown us that participation of women in workforce and leadership roles and entrepreneurship is not simply a social goal, it's an economic multiplier for national growth. And progress does not really happen automatically. It requires intentional leadership, inclusive institutions, forward looking policy, and visible role models who open the doors for the next generation. And that is why this conversation today matters, because we do have some of those role models with us, and they will actually be able to share their views. So, as we talk to this wonderful panel, let me move straight into introducing all of them without wasting too much time. Let me start with Seema Ambastha, who is, somebody I'm really, really impressed by her achievements. She's a technology and digital infrastructure leader with over 30 years of experience building and scaling high technology driven businesses in senior leadership roles across Oracle, VMware, Entity, Digital Realty, and now Larsen and Toubro-Vyoma. As the CEO of Larsen and Toubro-Vyoma, she leads L&T's next generation AI cloud hyperscale data center, and several compute strategy, positioning L&T Vyoma as a new age digital infrastructure business within the L&T group. She obviously has deep technical expertise and also very strong financial acumen, which has driven her to the top. And has driven the sustained growth of L&T's digital infrastructure portfolio. Particularly, she has spearheaded L&T's strategic investment in E2E, aligned with India's sovereign cloud vision and the ambition to deliver a Make in India cloud platform for Indian and global enterprises. And I can go on and on. There are a list of achievements, but I can tell you as a technology leader, this is pretty trailblazing. I will also introduce Priti Rathi Gupta, who is the founder of Lakshmi. Uh, just get this in place. Sorry. Yeah. Founder of Lakshmi, a trailblazing trail. She's a trailblazer redefining how women engage with money in India. Through her vision and leadership, she has empowered and inspired over 1.7 lakh women to take charge of their finances, transforming their small savings into meaningful investments and financial confidence. Lakshmi was among 20 women founded Lakshmi was among 20 women founded or co founded startups selected for the prestigious Google for Startups Accelerator program, chosen from nearly 400 applicants, a testament to Preeti's mission of bridging the gap between women and wealth. Priti is also the co promoter at Anand Rathi Group, one of India's largest financial conglomerates and an alumni of Harvard Business School. She was also recently honored with the Business Today's Most Powerful Women Award which celebrates distinguished women leaders whose contributions have significantly shaped India's economic landscape. I'll come to Deepthi Bopaiah, the youngest amongst all of us, who's an athlete turned banker turned sports administrator. She began her career as a wealth advisor and trainer at HSBC before choosing to pursue her passion for strengthening Indian sport and supporting the nation's most talented athletes. Over the last decade, Deepthi led the GoSports Foundation with passion and commitment as its CEO, and since October 2025, she has been serving on the foundation's board. Under her leadership, the foundation received a national award from the President of India and played a role in the journeys of nearly 70 Olympians and Paralympians, including 10 Paralympic medalists. She is a Chevening Gurukul Fellow at the University of Oxford, and she continues to contribute meaningfully to the growth of high performance, and inclusive sports in India. And I also welcome Kanta Singh. Kanta Singh brings over 25 years of experience in managing pro-women development programs. She has worked with national and international organizations to advance women's participation in the formal economy, sports, and political leadership. Prior to joining UN Women, she served as a United Nations Development Program, UNDP, for 9 years. She currently serves as a country representative at UN Women India Country Office. A former national volleyball player, Kanta is also a Chevening Gurukul Fellow from the University of Oxford. So this is really a fantastic panel. I have to say, there are some of you, Priti also has an interest in arts and culture and filmmaking. So this is a very, very, what shall I say, accomplished and diverse group that I have here. And I would like to jump straight into the conversation with all of you. Thank you for being here today. Let me start by requesting by one common question for all of you, and I'll request you to just give me a one sentence answer. The idea is to keep it moving quickly. So one question straight away. What does a truly powered by her India look like in 2047? I'm sure all of you will have perspectives from your own side. So who would like to go first? Seema, please. I was testing the leadership here, or fastest finger first, whichever one you call it. But Seema, you're on mute, so let's hear you.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thanks for having me on the panel, first of all. And it can't be a better time than this. A truly powered by her India in 2047 um, is a one where I think women are not just an inclusion metric, but more of a decisive force in capital allocation, which I believe is very important, enterprise creation, public policy, and also a technological leadership, right? Co-architecting the India's uh, rise as a global power, which is how I look at women contributing.
Awesome, great. Uh, Preeti, would you like to go next? Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Once again, thank you for having me. And I think this question actually, when it came, when you just asked it and when it came earlier, it really made me think about what do I think about, powered by her. And I think I'm a little biased because from where I come, I just feel that, I work in the space of financial equality for women, which I think is the core equality that every woman wants to have. It's only that equality, the power over her money that gives her then ability to look after her health, her education, all of that, right? And to me, I think this powered by her would really mean that every woman in this country participates and gets agency over her money, authority over her money, deploying it over asset classes that give her the near-term security as well as the growth. We've just released a report, Pallavi, that talks about, over the next decade, women could actually create a $40 trillion opportunity and wealth in this country if they just start taking simple steps to, access capital markets. And to me, I think that is truly powered by her because I think what it does is it's stability at homes, it's stability in community, it's deepening the capital markets, and it's actually resilience in the economy.
Absolutely. I mean, there is no doubt that once you get that kind of independence and confidence at an individual level, it has such a multiplier effect. Uh, Deepthi, would you go next? Yeah.
Um, Thank you for having me as well. So I think for us, when you look at sport, it's already in a very, very niche place, right? It's not really sport for all. And in that space also, you just have less than 30% of women who've ever played sport. So
Yeah,
I think I'd love to see that number change, because sport is not just from a medal standpoint, but sport is really for the life skills, the participation, and community. Because at the end of the day, I think there's no better way to learn winning and losing than on a playground. So I'd love
absolutely.
to
The
see that happen.
sportsmanship of it, there's a lot of resilience and fitness and a lot of stuff that goes with it, very much. And I'm sure Kanta, who's been a national player, would know much more about it, but would love to hear your views, Kanta.
No, thank you, and thank you, Deepthi. Actually, I would not be sitting here amongst these panel members if it was not for sports. So it leads to that kind of empowerment. But yeah, to your point, to me, I think a woman would, when she starts shaping the discourse of her life, when she starts changing the decisions for herself rather than waiting for somebody else to change it for her,
Yeah,
when she is also the equal, if not more, decision maker in all spheres that she leads. And definitely, I will put money first, because men and women are unequal, primarily because the assets are being owned by men. 87% of world's land is being owned by men. How do you think the world is going to be equal? I think the change is happening, but when women get to change that themselves, so basically, you don't talk about me when I'm not there. That means they have to be present in every decision-making body, and that, to me, my mind, will be leading the change that we are hoping for will come by 2047. So I'll stop here.
so I mean that kind of is a great segue for me to actually go back to Preeti. Preeti, obviously there is this whole sense of financial empowerment that builds the whole case for women. And despite rising levels of education and income levels, many women still hesitate to manage their own money. Do you think that the barrier is knowledge, or is it just confidence or culture? What do you make of it?
Great question, Pallavi, and a great timing because we've just released this report today,
Oh,
which talks about financial behavior of women and how do you look at this completely untapped opportunity and unlock the potential that every woman has within herself. So it's very interesting. We did this IP within it. It's done by Ernst and Young and Lakshmi, and one of the things we said is that why is the women's participation lacking? When I set up Lakshmi, people asked me, why do you need a financial platform for women? There are enough platforms, right? But I would just turn around and say, then why aren't women there on that platform? Yes, you could owe a large part of it to the participation gap. Today there are 53 women earning versus every 100 women earning in our country, right? You could blame it on the gender pay gap, which is a reality. I mean, a woman earns 73 rupees for every 100 rupees that a man earns, right? But the important piece we realized was that uh, even with all of those obstacles, she's saving money, but the money is really being put into suboptimal places, right? For example, if you look at rural India, a lot of the money is going into, say, chit funds or committees where money is not necessarily growing, but because there is familiarity and there is that comfort that, okay, this is a community, I understand. If you look at more urban India, you'll see women putting money into gold, into fixed deposits, but they are not putting money into even pension funds, for example. Only 18% of women put money into pension funds versus 30%, 32% of men. So I think it was more, we said, okay, right from access, and access we've done as a country, we've done wonderfully, whether it's Jandan, whether it's opening bank accounts, whether it's UPI, but from access to inclusion. And inclusion we've merely termed as access to credit, access to capital. Yes, that's great, but it's again at the bottom rung of the of our society, right? And then from inclusion, but that inclusion does not have access to financial products like investing, saving. Why are women saving in dabbas even today, right? And the third important piece was agency. The dichotomy is that women who have savings and are earning are not taking the authority or do not have authority of their money. Whereas today, if I go to large parts of the country, there are women earning, they have authority, but then there is no savings. So that's the dichotomy, right? How is that whole authority or agency missing? And finally, outcome. As a country, I think what we measure, and I come from financial services, the industry measures product selling. The metrics that are being measured are completely wrong. We are not measuring outcomes. Are we measuring how women's wealth is growing? Are we measuring how women are doing on their financial security? So I think all of these are pretty much missing. We could talk about financial literacy. Yes, we fare very poorly. We fare 21%. 21% of our women are financially literate, right? But I always, given that I run a platform which has, now today 2 million women on the platform, the hunger to learn is there. But are we really giving them the applied education that works versus a classroom teaching? So I think all of these pieces, and it comes back to the whole value proposition. I think the system design for making women participate in financial services, in financial products, or using them to create her financial autonomy and financial security is completely warped. It's skewed towards men, unfortunately. A simple example would be it assumes a linear earning cycle. Whereas for us women, it's cyclical, right? We talk about one retirement, save for your retirement. As a woman, I have many retirements in my life. How am I actually addressing that? So I think that's the bigger problem, and that needs to be solved. And that is what we've been working on, Lakshmi, creating that blueprint, which we now actually are very proud of. Having created and know how to solve this at across the board, right? Especially mass middle income, low income women, the ability to connect, create an embedded journey where they can start investing their money.
Sure. I mean, and so from what I'm hearing, there's a long way to go. And some of the things is not because there's lack of hunger, but because maybe a lack of knowledge and also a huge cultural barrier. So let me, bounce that off to Kanta. Kanta, this seems like a much bigger problem, and I think from where you are, maybe policy and initiatives like that might be more the need of the hour. What would you say is really the story? Is it education? Is it social barrier, culture? What is it? What do we do? What do we need to do better?
Uh, I'll go back to what Priti was just talking about. Anything that we're using today is not designed by us. The world by default is designed for men, whether it is our cities, whether these are our villages, whether these are financial products, and now AI is being shaped by men. So that's a fundamental problem, and that's where I was saying earlier that the decision making is where women are not present, not just participation. I'm saying representation, and representation in numbers where our voices are heard. So the
And how do we
agency
get
here,
there? How do we get
and
there?
how to get there is threefold. One is definitely more women leaders who are already there in the space, like what Preeti is doing or what Deepthi is doing and what Seema is doing. Bring in more women. Don't just represent them by proxy. That I know I'm a woman, I understand. No, you don't understand. Sorry. Women and women are different. So that's one. So wherever you get a chance, at least bring more women and bring women's voices, if not them physically. That's number one. Secondly, is people like us who are working in the policy space and we keep pushing the agenda. How do we collectivize? How do we lobby? How do we, like farmers' bodies, CII, FICCI, everybody goes to meet finance minister before the budget. Where are women's organizations? Where are women who are talking about them? Second is that part very, very important. We take it negatively that women are coming together. They are speaking for. No, it's not right. Nobody will hear us if we go in with our single agenda, unless we come together. We prioritize, and also if you take a laundry list, government will not listen to you. You have to prioritize every year. These are the three things we are going to talk about. and then have a separate representation just before the budget saying this is what we want from the budget.
Well,
Third thing.
yeah.
And the last thing, and the second thing, third thing that I really feel is that it requires investment. And who is investing in women? Just to give you small figures, 1.5% of CSR funding is going for women's organizations, 2% of venture capital is going for women, and 9.3% of national budget is spent on women. And these are all public figures, and huge amount. If women are not invested in, as Vidya Balan says, what makes a film interesting is entertainment, entertainment, entertainment. Exactly same way, what makes women tick is investment, investment, investment in their education, in their skilling, in their employment, in their entrepreneurship, but most importantly, in their leadership. I'll stop here.
Awesome. I mean, very specific actions and clarity of thought there, and but much harder to be done than said.
No, it's not hard. No, it's not hard.
Well, I guess bringing more voices together and is a job to be done. Is a constant job to be done, I guess. But yeah, it's doable, and I hope it is done soon. Coming to that and building on that, Seema, if I can come to you, you've actually create space for yourself at a very strong leadership position, decision-making position in a very male-dominated technologies field. So what is it, and something like AI, as Kanta alluded, is being built by men and it's got a male voice in a sense, and what therefore becomes the future of women. So if I can just simply say that in a world that possibly you had to find your way and get there, what were your defining experiences that prepared you to lead in such a sector?
Um, yeah, that's great. Actually, just want to just set a context again, right? I'm the only woman amongst my 13 peers who are men in this industry.
Right.
I kind of echo everything that Miss Kanta said. I think she was perfect. What is important is investment. People invested in me, they trusted me, somebody, right, who gave me this opportunity to be what I am. I think this is what is lacking today, which people are not doing. Some of the most defining moments I've had in my life, as I think Priti said during her, it's not about climbing another rung, it's about changing the ladder. And I have done that repeatedly, from a technologist moving to a business leader and moving to a capital, what do you say, like a capital focused, capital intensive, investment mindset business leader. Now, this is a huge transition, and nobody is going to lead this transition. You have to lead it yourself. I think very, very rightly put by Kantaji. I think she talked very beautifully on skill set. You need to skill yourself, or someone needs to invest in skilling you. So I think we need to take a lead. In my opinion, you have to take the mandate, you have to take the lead, and you have to lead for yourself. It's very important. I sometimes tell that it comes within. It needs to really come within. 3 decades of what I've seen of myself transition, one thing that has kind of has been successful in the model that I have implemented is definitely I've been a learner for life, number one, which every woman have to do. I
Yes.
know it takes a lot. We play a lot of role. By the way, I've brought up 2 children. I've been their tutor for 12 years. I've been in technology. I'm also pursuing my doctorate. So there's lots of things that you do in life. It's not a lot. It's just about enjoying every bit without the guilt.
Yes.
Right. So you asked me a very pertinent question, what brought me a lot of technology skilling, but that's not relevant. That's the easiest thing that you can do. I think what is hard in life is to understand that to get there, it's not your comfort is can give you just competence, but your courage is what actually gives you perspective. So it is important to set that perspective. And I kept doing that throughout my last 3 decades, and I'm still doing after 35 years. Okay. I haven't said it's over. So I think we have to unleash my dream in my life is to really see India unleash that 50% of the power, which is just lying there. And
Yeah.
I completely echo what Priti said. It's so important for women to gain security, financial security, and for that, it'll not come from somebody else. It comes from you. So you have everything you need to connect the dot, a skill, then move to a career, grow in career, secure your financial, stability, and lead the life the way you want to do it rather than being led, right?
Yeah, that's fascinating. And courage seems to be the word, the punch word for that you talked about. So Dipti, let me ask you, what actually drew you to sport as a platform for social change rather than competition? That rather than just treating it as a competition, because you focus very much on Paralympics and possibly other minorities, including women. So you are using this as a community builder. Uh, for
Yeah.
sports, sorry, just a
Yeah, yeah.
caveat. For sports, we possibly look for talent amongst the young who are not independent thinking yet. So how do you actually battle that and help build that courage that Seema was talking about? And how have you actually made that decision for your own self? Because
So
that
I
would be
actually, I mean, for me, it's a very, very straightforward thing. I'm actually from Coorg. We all play sport. We just grow up playing sport, right? So
right.
there is, education is important, but you have to play sport. So I think that you're lucky to be born in a community, in a family where, eventually went into sport or you went into the armed forces. So you really pretty much had these two options. So I see my parents even till date wake up, play tennis every day in the morning, right? So I think I've seen that kind of culture. But then when I started playing competitively, you also reach a stage where it gets extremely expensive to keep traveling. And 20 years back, 25 years back, we didn't have organizations like us actually supporting and nurturing athletes. If you talk to anyone, and even Kanta mentioned, I'm sure everyone played sport at school, the dropout starts happening much more for women than for men, right? And it starts happening as early as 13, 14. As soon as you hit puberty, girls stop playing sport. Then they're also told you can't go play sport because you're going to get dark, and then who's going to marry you, and then we can only send one person, we can only buy one shoe. So the problems for women start from so young
Yeah.
that at the end of it, you speak to any woman you meet, they'll say, in school I used to play, and then some of them played in college, and then nobody played after that.
Yeah.
So the talent pool that we have in women in sport in India keeps shrinking rapidly. So by the time you come to a nationals, you have such a small pool to choose from. They then go on and make it. So the organization that we've built, GoSports Foundation, for us, we're 17 years old, and our primary aim was majority of athletes drop out at a national level because there is no guidance, mentorship, funding at that stage. So we are really not in the sports for development stage. We're in the sports for excellence phase, because we believe that if you create role models, that one person can really change and ignite a lot of different things. So if you look at a PV Sindhu, you look at a Deepa Karmakar, you look at a Bhavani Devi, and gymnastics and fencing and badminton, nobody thought any girls are going to go and actually make it at the Olympics, right? You had a Karna Maleshwari in weightlifting, the first woman who won, and then for such a long gap, you didn't have anyone.
Yeah.
So I think today, Paris Olympics, which just got over last year, was the most gender equal games in the history of the games. So every country globally is actually working towards getting more women to play. More than 80% of Fortune 500 companies leaders are women who played sport in their growing up years. So if we are talking about women in the top, women as leaders, sport is so important in your formative years, because anybody who's played
Yeah.
sport can lead, can plan, can organize, can fail, can restart again. So I think for me personally, irrespective, so I was a banker, and to take that change and then come in and get into an organization like this was a big change. But I think the sports mentality just comes in, kicks in, and says, give it a shot, see where it goes. And it's been 13 years now, and it's been amazing building something which is so important. And we say this is nation building. We're not going to create Olympic medalists. Nobody can kind of confirm that I can be absolutely prepared, but on that day I may not make it. So sport is brutal. Sport is all of on that day what happens, and you can only focus on the path. So if you look at women in sport, and if you look at leaders, we talk every all of you spoke about how do you get leaders on the top, right? And if you look at your leaders in your businesses, in your verticals, many of them may have played sport. And I feel that sport can also bring people together in ways that we absolutely, don't know. So irrespective of the age, you throw a ball in,
Oh,
you
yeah,
will suddenly see a different side of everyone, right? So,
absolutely.
so I think for me, the joy of really being part of young girls who have, not just been given that opportunity and support by their parents to play, but what it meant for that state, what it meant for that region, what it meant for the community, that one girl has actually made it on a flight.
Yes.
No one in the community has made it for a flight to go for a competition.
Yeah.
Nobody has gone abroad. Nobody has. So the kind of milestones on livelihood that we end up ticking off are incredible on our women in sport programs, and we are fortunate to have a lot of our CSR partners who understand that this is part of nation building. We are working with women. We are working with women with disability, and that is a completely different number altogether.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
if you are a woman, you already have your challenges. But if you're a woman with disability,
Oh,
you
yeah.
just add in another 10 more things that
Wow.
cannot happen for them.
Yeah.
So to see each of them really excel and be leaders and be the future and show that, hey, you know what, it's possible and I can go do anything and everything. And Seema spoke beautifully about courage, right? And I think that just comes naturally because you have to stand there and face the ball, or you have to go all in and do everything else. So I think courage
Yeah.
is inbuilt.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it's exciting times, but merging it for corporate and for schools and for excellence,
Yeah.
uh, and we operate in the excellence space because
Yeah.
that's where the and the more young girls we see doing well,
Hmm.
more boys and girls will say, hey, this person right next to me did it, I can also do this. And that's why we're seeing a lot of different parts. So I'm just going to share one story of a girl called Bhavani Devi. She's actually India's first fencer who went to the Tokyo Olympics. Nobody, when we picked up a fencer, people were like, there is no ecosystem of fencing. Why are you even looking at fencing? She comes from Chennai. She learned in a government school. Somebody had fencing in a government school in Chennai, right? Which is fascinating in itself.
Yeah.
And then now that she went to the Olympics, the national champions now have 600 to 800 athletes participating in the fencing nationals, which was
Oh,
not the case earlier.
wow. Yeah.
So the ripple effects of one role model is absolutely brilliant, and we love making that happen and being part of their
Fantastic.
journey.
Fantastic. So, Kanta, she said that a lot of women don't make it to the national level, but you did, and at much earlier times, possibly. So, what was your journey, and how did you go about achieving that? You're on mute.
It's very interesting. I was listening to Deepthi and I was going back to my childhood. I also come from a state where everybody plays Haryana, and
Yeah.
you know what we are doing at national level and international level. But the
Uh,
journey started much before. The ecosystem that Deepthi is talking about, actually, there was an ecosystem, there was an acceptance for women to play sports.
yeah.
In a village where I was born and grew up in, everybody played volleyball. There was some culture there. So we all everybody knew how to just, shoot or lift or something. And
Yeah.
people who continuously worked on it then went ahead. Um, for me, Pallavi, I would not have actually studied because of my family's background. I lost my father when I was 4,
Oh,
and my mom had to take care of all of us. My eldest brother was 16, and I was 4 years old. So you can imagine what came on to her, and she wasn't prepared for that, and she did it so beautifully that unless it was sports, I would not have got a scholarship to study in a world-class university
okay.
where I was given the Olympic size facilities. and got to do my best. It is all about opportunities and how you seize them and show the courage, because courage is that every year for 8 years, 9 years I played nationals. Every year we lost in in quarterfinals, and next year again we went and were ready to be beaten or win. Because in sports you have to have that courage to face the stadium full of people and to say it's okay to lose.
Right.
It's fine. We have come, we are giving our best. But if railways team is better than us, then what do you do? Right. They're investing more in their diet, in their in infrastructure, in everything. We had a childhood issues to deal with, right? The shortage of things. The we always abhav bolte hain, ka abhav mein jeena, if
Hmm.
you understand the word.
Yes.
Um, as compared to somebody like the Tamil Nadu girl who came from a government school. So the fire is there, but आपका स्टेमिना उतना नहीं है जितना आपको बिल्ड किया गया है स्पोर्ट्स मेडिसिन से। आपके एडवाइजर्स हैं, आपके डॉक्टर्स आपके साथ हैं। हम खेल रहे थे ऐसे रफियंस की तरह जैसे खेलते हैं। सो बट I can tell you, we used to wear the shortest of shorts in 40 years back. uh,
Right.
and were never teased. I don't remember a single incident that, and we traveled with men's team, juniors, seniors, inter-university. I don't touch wood. I never had a trauma story to share. Of
Right.
course, not from our boys. Of course, outside things happen and
Yeah.
nothing terrible happened.
Yeah.
But the courage to fight back every year and to lose.
Yeah.
For winning, you don't need too much courage. For losing, you need a lot of courage.
Yeah.
And every year now we get setbacks in my kind of work. Each girl counts. So today, if I have been able to guide a young girl on LinkedIn, I feel I have done something useful besides my work for which I take money. Right. I never take awards. I never accept any awards, even from Government of India, to say it will be a conflict of interest. I'm being paid by UN to do the work. And one CM said, "But you are doing excellent. We want to give you an award." And I said, "Sir, thank you. Um, am I not supposed to do excellent work? Do you expect a UN staffer who is being paid highly to do mediocre work? I'm paid to do excellent work, so I'll not accept award, but I accept your grace and your honor." But my point is, every day you have to get the courage. When you're going to the stage and speaking, something happens in your tummy. You have to have courage, and that then sports comes very handy. And sports, and I started my discussion with that, that if it was not for sports, trust me, people like me and many, many thousands of girls like me would never have a chance, would never have a chance. On forget about leadership, not just even in jobs or standing up to the people who are right to oppress you. So I will just stop here. It's all about how your group, people who traveled with us, they are still with us now. After 40 years, all those sports people who we traveled with, worked with, lost and won with, are friends. They know us inside out, nothing to hide, nothing to pretend. So it's been a beautiful journey. Really enjoyed it.
Fantastic. Fantastic. That's great. So, I mean, it really means that play from your heart, keep at it. You know, when opportunities come, seize them, and have the courage. And something like winning and losing is part of life. Priti, I want to come back to you because we've talked a lot about courage and mindsets and things like that. But at the end of the day, it's still about getting women to feel very empowered, especially financial independence is a big part of that. Uh, Based on what you have seen, because 1.7, while there's still a long way to go with just 21% financial literacy, you've still got a large platform with 1.67 lakh women. I'm just keen to understand really what is the women's investing behavior and what really surprised you about it.
Um, so I think the biggest, single most sort of surprising insight has been that, and I come from the industry, right? So how the industry's core assumption about women investors is completely faulty, right? The only thing that they were right about was that it takes us very long to get a woman to start investing. And that also they were sort of right about, because they were just not using the right, addressing the right behavior, and using a stereotypical, like Kanta said, because it was meant, industry made by men, catering to men. So expecting women to fall in line. And I think that was the biggest insight, right? I have to say, even when I started, I thought, let's do literacy and then we can get women to invest. And only to realize that that's just not enough. There's a lot more that needs to be done. Literacy is, of course, the first step, and it needs to be done, right? Um, I think even when it came to literacy, I realized that the entire industry was talking to women like they were risk averse. Being a woman, I realized that that is obviously ridiculous. As women, we give birth. Like, what could be more riskier than that? So, how can you call us risk averse? I think what I realized that women actually make very informed decisions, things that they are aware of. They understand where the money is going. Then they will interact with that tool to sort of get whatever financial goals that they want to achieve. An example is, when we started the platform, we thought women will only, because gold is a low hanging fruit, if you democratize investing into gold and into the right product, right? Because one of the things we were clear about is that we will not do anything that is not regulated. So democratize 100 rupee gold investment into a mutual fund, women will uptake that, right? They'll say, okay, this is what I want to do. But as we sort of did more literacy, so we have a community, and when women participate in that community and they ask questions, what do I do about my daughter's education? It's my worry. And incidentally, the first thing we think about when it comes to, when we have money in our hands, is our children, right? So what do I do about my daughter's education or my son's education? And there would be various feedbacks that would come in from women in the community. I was amazing to see, there were women who were saying do Sukanya Samriddhi, and there were women who were saying do cryptocurrency. And we had to really play the moderator and say, look, these are the pros and cons of understanding. But it's not that women are not taking risk. Women are not risk averse. They're very risk aware. And I think, which is why, if you are able to, without that condescending note, really explain, and give them more clarity on products, they will take it up based on what goals. How do you mitigate risk? If you explain that equities today is risky, but the only way to mitigate risk is to give it time, put in money and just leave it, do some asset allocation, don't put all your money in it. But that is the one tool that will help you achieve your goals, right? We see women invest into equities. Second was, we realized that women are generally very goal driven. Men, when they talk next to each other, and again, financial services is all about what returns, what product will get you what return. I think women are very clearly thinking about goals. Even if I'm keeping some money aside, even if it's cash in my dabba or in my cupboard or a fixed deposit, in my head, I know what I'm doing it for. What is the goal that this money is going to achieve? So really sort of, tying their sort of savings to goals was actually a great insight, and that really worked very beautifully. And the other thing that gave us was it showed us how consistent and patient women were. I mean, Warren Buffett says, invest like a woman. There's a reason, right? We have the right attributes. And whether it is discipline, whether it's being a conservative investor, which is actually a great thing when you're putting your hard-earned money somewhere, all of those attributes are great. In fact, my platform is called Lakshmi because that's the dichotomy in India. When a girl is born, we say Lakshmi aayi hai. When a daughter-in-law comes home, we say Lakshmi aayi hai. But as women, we ourselves don't think of ourselves as Lakshmi first. That's the starting point. And second, we are never given that agency. We are never given that ability to exercise the Lakshmi in us, right? Which is why we called it Lakshmi, so that every woman thinks, we are able to enable and power them to become Lakshmi. And I think most importantly, when we sort of looked at, what is the biggest thing that the barrier that women suffer from, we realized that it is actually the fragmented journey today an investment or a financial ecosystem offers, where you're paying somewhere, you're saving somewhere else, you're investing somewhere else, you're borrowing somewhere else. Now I'm a woman, I'm a mother, I'm working, I'm coming home, looking after the family, caregiving, all of those things. And then the one thing that gets left out is looking at investing, right? I will still look at payments. Today there are 300 or close to 300 million women using UPI payments in India. It's not a small number, right? So payments is something, because that's my need, that's where I interact most with money. So that I've adopted. Savings, if I have a bank account, again, let's also sort of look at figures there. I think where we say that 86%, 89% of Indian women have bank accounts, but how many of them actually operated?
So if there is one thing that you would want to change in your ecosystem for women, what would that be?
I think it will be just the design, that is the system design, that needs to change, and then post that, a lot can follow, products can follow, women-centric products can follow, but essentially the system first has to be designed for women. Kanta spoke about it really well. There's a beautiful book called Invisible Women, where just everything in this world is not designed, where it is male dominated, it is only designed for men. And I think that's the one thing that I would change. In fact, we have changed.
Absolutely, you've been at the forefront of that. So, in the interest of time, I had more questions for all of you, but in the interest of time, I'm just going to ask one common question to the rest of the three of you, is if each of you could change one thing in your ecosystem, one thing, tomorrow, that would dramatically accelerate the opportunities for women in your field, what would it be? So let me start with Seema. Mute.
Sorry. I said it'll be like a systemic inclusion. I think that's one thing that needs to really change. It's not about optics, it's about
And
systemic
can you elaborate what systemic inclusion would look like for you?
So one of the things that I see today is, you look at all of them, they present metrics as optics, right? So we have 30% women, we have 20% women. So I think what is more important for us is to transition from representational diversity to a very systemic equity, which is the one thing that we need to do. All this we are talking will somewhere dovetail into everybody thinking about this, as a corporate, as a government, as a regulating body, as a policy maker, whatever.
Right.
And ensuring that women have measurable access to everything. We talked about STEM pipelines, talked about maybe operating P&L ownerships, growth capital, strategic decision making ability, broad leadership, whatever is required, so that they can influence outcomes both for themselves and for the country. I think that's one thing which we all need to resolve. And I would agree with all my panelists, right? Somewhere, even as a woman leader, when I'm hiring, am I really laying this? I don't want to do too much distinction, but am I really kind of institutionalizing this in every behavior? Somewhere it is not easy to practice, but I would love to see that, really love to see that from now until 2047. That will make a difference to the country.
Fantastic. Deepthi, what about you?
I think I would love to see marks for sports, because our girls do really well in education. But the minute you start giving marks for playing sport, I think the participation will increase. People will do it mandatorily, and then we'll get many, many leaders in the future.
Wonderful. So, Kanta, I'm going to give you the last word because.
So then if I'm the last, then I'll take 2 points. One is a wish, one is a wish list. If I really am made to decide the world order, I will give completely equal access to economic assets to women, without which whatever else we do will be just complementary and not will change the structural barriers that women have. That's number one. But more importantly, in my day-to-day life, I think if women's representation is ensured in everything, starting from all kinds of jobs, and particularly now I'm looking at you, Seema, of course, everything else being equal, if you can start preferring women with all their limitations, you will see a second line of leadership coming up. You will not be the only woman. And which at some point in time, all of us used to take pride. I'm the only woman. Now it doesn't even look nice, to be very nice, to be very honest. But
No,
if
no,
I
Kanta,
can do that,
I want to make, I said in my peer community, not in L&T.
yes, peer
Yeah.
community, yes. But now it is your job to get more women in AI because AI is harming women more than it is helping them. The technology facilitated gender-based violence is so bad, Seema. Before we realize our tribal girls are being pulled into watching porn and they are giving their inputs. You see how tribal girls from Chhattisgarh, Jharkhand, and Gujarat are sent content. They have no physical intimacy, they have no physical contact with any man so far. Young women are made to watch porn by the industry for money. Before we realize how our bodies are going to be, reimagined and reshaped and reproposed to the world, it's going to cause more harm and going to take away women's agency much more than it was done by physical violence. So I'm saying this is the time that we start coming together. So I'll give representation a heavy percentage, Pallavi.
Yes.
Women have to be in parliament, in state assemblies, in boards, in management, in schools, colleges, STEM, everything.
Yes.
And then things will shape. We'll find more courage in having more women around us.
Absolutely,
Safety numbers.
absolutely. I can't second more. Yeah, and I think consciously we should, each one of us, and I always think, uh, my post-retirement, if at all I have time to live, the only thing I live for is to see this equality.
Do it today,
Just want to
woman.
live. No, I'm doing it all times. I'm all the time on the job. I have been very proud to say that in our team, at least, we are 45, 55, and we are looking at grooming. It's from the top that you should have more people, women on board,
Yeah.
more people on leadership. It's really something passionately we believe, and most of us believe,
Thank you, but
including men.
I'm going to take something from Priti today. I'm not good at financial management, and Priti, I'm going to contact you after this and take some lessons from you.
Pleasure,
Well,
pleasure. Thank
thanks, everyone. As we
We
come to a
admire
close.
Preeti. I will send all of my team. They need a lot of education from you. I'm trying to do that, but I think they get a better one from you.
I
Thank you
will
so much.
actually write to you individually so we can
Yeah,
connect.
even our athletes, the women, I mean, I can go on
Yeah.
finance and money and sport.
Well,
Absolutely.
there you are.
Thank
I
you so
mean,
much.
what's clear here is that the conversation has really yielded some powerful, ideas. Obviously, financial independence, empowerment, understanding that women are not risk averse, they're risk aware. But all of us agree that opportunities, when they come, we have to seize them. But we also need people and institutions and policies that support us. So it's a two-way street, but courage resides with the women, and that's our responsibility. So I just feel that India's journey towards 2047 will not just be defined by economic growth, but how inclusive it really is. And as it's well said, it's not just participation, it's representation. So leadership, decision making, creativity across every sphere of society. I think that that's clear. And we've got such a wonderful panel today who actually are making that difference. So it's a lot to be optimistic about and a lot more work to be done. And conversations like this are really helpful in getting that reinforced, understood better, and seeing the role models that all of you have become. So thank you and pushing and helping us push the conversation. And thank you to all our audience for coming and joining us today. Thank you very much. Bye bye.
Thank
Thank you,
you.
Pallavi.
Thank you very much. Thank you,
you,
girls.
Pallavi, for moderating it so well.
Yeah.
Thank
Oh,
you.
Thank you.
beautifully.
Thanks a
Yes,
lot.
absolutely.
Thank
Thank you,
Bye
girl.
bye.
Thank you. Bye bye.